All right, hello. Welcome back. It is another Thursday painting night with me, James. How are y'all doing today? Get my camera all set up. It is Thursday, February 11th, approximately 4:31 p.m. in New York time, Connecticut. And we are going to be painting again today. I turn my desktop audio down so it's not too loud. And check my mic. And everything seems to be working. Alright. Nobody's here on the stream yet. Oh, Ground Dog's here. Ground Dog's always here. Ground Dog, you the man. Where's my chat? Make sure the chat's in the right spot. All right, that should be in the right spot. Chat box. All right, turn this down. All right, that should balance everything out. Bunny Blue has contributed. All right, so we're still working on our fantastic little lady psyker, Imperial Psyker, which I'm going to zoom in on her. Here she is. Right now it doesn't look like much. We're going to start doing some tricks, some secret painting tricks and techniques today. To start making her look much, much better. We got everything pretty much blocked out and ready to go with the primary colors that we want to have on here. The staff, we're going to paint that metallic. But I'm looking, the more I look at the staff itself, it looks like it has a wood grain to it. So we might actually end up painting that wooden, but we'll take a look. You can always paint over what you do. So that's one of the benefits of painting that I really enjoy is that, like Bob Ross said, there are no mistakes, just happy accidents. That guy's fantastic. One of the first things we're going to start out with today is this neat armor and cowl thing that she's got going on. We're going to tint that a nice blue color, and we're going to be doing some glowing on that, which is going to look pretty cool. In order to accomplish that, there's a few ways you can do that. I'm going to be using camera right there. There we go. I'm going to be using Dracoff Nice Shade. There we go. It's a shade, a wash color that is from Citadel. Their washes are liquid talent. They work very, very well. And they are essentially cheating. Got my new pot of water today. Clean my palette off. No old paint on it. I'm going to use this rather large number 0 brush. It says 0, but this is closer to a 1. I don't care what they say. We're going to take that. You're going to see this, the wash is very liquidy. Washes are very liquidy. They are designed to essentially tint surfaces and then pull into the recesses, and then they dry darker in the recesses with only tinting the surfaces a little bit. You can alter that by changing the composition by adding water or adding a flow improver or a medium. The one that I use Vallejo's Airbrush Thinner as a flow improver, which is an alcohol-based improver. Don't drink it. It tastes terrible. Or Vallejo's acrylic glaze medium for medium. The glaze medium makes it thicker, causes it to stick to the surface more, and the thinner causes it to tint less. We actually want it to tint a little bit more, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. So we're gonna go ahead and apply this essentially liberally to all the silvers that I painted last Tuesday. This also will help darken down the silver significantly, which will give you all those crisp details. All right, now while we're doing this, we're going to try and avoid getting this on the other parts that we already painted that we don't want to have tinted, which is, just a little bit of control, but you can always go back in and fix any mistakes that you make, any overages or slip ups. Now, unlike standard acrylic paints, regular paints, you do want to take this mostly directly out of the pot. And it helps keeps the consistency of the paint, of the wash, the same every time you use it. You can dab some off like I'm doing onto my palette. That way you don't overfill your brush. Put that over there so I don't knock it over. And there's that up in there. See, this tints the silver this dark blue. And we're going to use that to create a blue glowing effect on this, especially on this headdress that she has. This headdress is pretty fantastic. Really hope the audio is coming through good. It's difficult to tell when you're on this end of the broadcast. Yeah, we're going to be re-highlighting this after the wash. Absolutely. Oh, Citadel contrast. I'm sorry for getting back to any of your posts in chat quickly. Paint station's over here. Monitor is over here. So I apologize there, Sean. Yeah, we're going to create this glowing effect that I'm going to do, which is actually pretty easy to do. We're going to wash down heavily, well, what I would consider a heavy wash on the silver, and then we're going to go ahead and build that back up to the silver again. I did miss a small part of the back of her head inside there. We'll go and fix that later. The Citadel contrast paints, I actually really like them. All of them. The browns, the reds. This is the Citadel Blood Red, Blood Angels Red. The Citadel Nasdurg Yellow is the Scarf. This is the Citadel Black Templars Contrast Black, which is really good if you want to do a fast black, mostly organic. It works really well for anything organic. And there's that. So that's going to take a couple minutes to dry. We're going to go ahead and leave that for now. And we're going to go ahead and go into something else real quick. While we are waiting for that to dry, I am going to grab a 50-50 water to black Nuln oil wash. This is standard Nuln oil. I took an empty pot, emptied half of it into this pot, and then filled the rest up with water. And then every time you use this, you have to shake it violently to re-agitate all the pigments that are in here. I find this very useful when you want to get a wash on something, but you're going to be very light in color on it. Like we're going to be doing her pants, this little tabard. I want to get some deep color into those tabard. Same with the rest of the pants. This will sit primarily all the way in the recesses and on the cloak. I did use a wash or a paint I'm sorry, I'm not on camera again. I apologize. Apothecary white, and it didn't give me the contrasting color that I wanted. It didn't darken enough. So this 50/50 Nuln Oil, that's actually dark for what it's going to look like. That's going to dry lighter than that. Well, it's a very neat color, this color. Not really color, it's just a good way of cheating shade onto something that's going to be mainly very bright white or bright color. It can even be used on non-white yellows and browns and such. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and fix that right there. I got a little bit of the blue wash on that. Same on, it looks like the same on the other side. So this is just gonna give us a little more contrast in between the raised parts and the folds in the fabric. Now if this was a tan fabric, I'm just dotting a little bit in there, touching the brush to it, letting some of it go on, and then letting it seep in. If this was like a cloth of parchment, I would probably not use this. Definitely wouldn't use this. I would use Seraphim Sepia wash, which just gives a better parchment tone. It legitimately looks like paper when you use that. So you can see this is already starting to dry, and it just slightly darkens the recesses. Okay. Again, waiting for paint to dry. Super fun. While we are waiting for paint to dry, I'm going to find my bolt gun metal. Just got painting in the last 6 months. D&D. Big fan of Dungeons & Dragons myself. Actually have some D&D figures that I got from a friend of mine who got a Kickstarter. They're animal companions, an owl rogue. He's cool. Haven't finished him. Haven't barely started him. Where is the bear? The bear. Cosmonaut bear. He's not done yet either, but this model is pretty awesome. I like this model a lot. A whole bunch of others. Dogs, a weasel. I think there's a weasel. All right, the staff. I'm going to hit the staff up with some gunmetal, Vallejo gunmetal, which is the same, very similar to Games Workshop and their lead belcher, which used to be called bolt gunmetal, I think. All right. Most metallics, I do recommend thinning them down a little bit. You'll get better flow with them because they have so much metallic flake pigment in them that you'll see that they don't apply very well. They'll go on very cakey if you don't. Now this is a significantly darker color than the silver that I used on the armor. I'm doing that on purpose. I want the armor to be much more glowy and vibrant. Again, sorry if I'm off camera. I gotta get an assistant to help point out when I'm on and off camera. And this is just such a nice model. The Imperial Aquila on top, I am going to paint gold. Just because I think that needs, it's going to be an extra source of pop on the model. When you're painting a figure, especially when you're doing mostly for show like this one, I'm probably not going to be using this model. I don't play the board game that it came with, and I don't own Imperial Guard. I could use her for a trader in my Gene Sealer Cult army for a trader guardsman. That is an option, but I don't really like doing that. I like the Gene Sealer Cult models too much. I really appreciate you watching my stream. Sometimes it gets bunched up in there. You blow it out. So this painting the eagle gold is going to have a large, on here you can have a large item up here, yellow, bright gold, and then down here across from it you're going to have a similar yellow, bright object on the model. It'll be something to help draw your eye across the whole figure. It actually helps creating balance. If you paint the whole thing one color, I mean, you can make it look good. I've seen people do that. But if you have dynamic color shifting across the model, things tend to look more pleasing. All right. Yeah, I think I am going to paint the staff brown. There's too much wood texture on it. Like a walking stick. It's like metallic parts on it. There we go with that. There we go with that. A little messy right now, but that'll be fixed in a little bit. We're still in the early stages on this model. Got another cable over here. Catch that up. This side here. And she actually has some on her hand. Let me zoom in on that. Pew. Her hand itself actually has some really nice detail on it, which we'll pick out the detail in metallic right now. But I think that's going to end up being warp colored. Warp being the magic she shoots out of her fingers. She's a wizard, Harry. This brush might be a little too big for what I'm trying to do here. She's like wiring and cables running across her glove. Nice little detail they put on this, actually. I really dig it. Oh, thank you, Sean. A tip. I think Sean might be the first tip I've ever gotten. Sean is the man. Oh, my eyeballs. Gotta put on my glasses. It's rather funny, actually. I have my sister My older sister actually is living with me right now. And sometimes I'll come out of my office here and I'll be wearing my glasses. Usually something like this so I can see. And she laughs at me because she doesn't. I never wore glasses until a couple years ago. Eyes. Eyes are a very difficult thing to paint on a model 25 millimeter, 30 millimeter scale. Glowing eyes are easier, honestly. So if you have characters that have psychic powers or something like that, or supernatural, glowing eyes work really well. Painting pupils and whatnot are very difficult to do. You're not the only person who's ever had a problem with them. Like this character, I would not paint her eyes unglowing. Her eyes are going to be glowing. So, don't think that this model might not have that. Maybe another one. Honestly, what I recommend doing mostly for eyeballs, if your model has very tiny eyeballs, like this dwarf right here. This dwarf has excruciatingly tiny eyeballs. His eyeballs are not painted. From a distance that you would be visually seeing this model, you wouldn't see whites and pupils on their eyes. There are more talented people out there than me that can paint eyeballs in this. Until you actually get to that level yourself, there's no trick to it. There's no magic formula. Going in and whiting them and then trying to dot them. Whiting them, you can mess up the area around it if the paint flows too much. And then dotting them, you're on the risk of getting Mr. Oh, I'm looking over there. Cross-eyed man, which happens quite often and can make a model look very goofy. So, unless you're doing a lens glow, an eyeball glow, or something of that nature, there's really no easy way of doing it. So I would say don't even worry about it. It's not worth it. Most people won't see the difference at all. Like, okay, so I got this orc here. He has white eyes. I put a little bit of white in there. That's it. Yeah. There's that meme going around, Warhammer 40K painting meme. Do you love me, brother? Yes, I do. Be strong for the Emperor. And the model's painted, and he's just, and one eyeball's looking up here, and one eyeball's looking over there, and it's rather funny, but sad at the same time. All right. So, our washes are dried now, which is good. We're going to go in and we're going to start highlighting this back up. All right, so we're going to again go to the silver. This would be, what Games Workshop color would this be? Chainmail? They don't make chainmail anymore. Stormhost silver, I think? All right, we're also going to change brushes. You could do this with a dry brush if this was the first color you're starting on. I'm not. I'm going to go in with a little bit of control, and we're switching over to what they're calling a number 1. This is not a number 1 brush. This is more like a 00. And the trick with this, honestly, for me, is flow. is you want to get this paint to flow off your brush. So that's a little, mix that in. So you want to get a consistency where you pull it, and there you go. Can we see that on the, like that? That's no down pressure and just rolling the brush. When you roll your brush out, it gives you a really fine tip. So you pull your brush out, you roll it, and you get a nice fine tip on it. And then you can go in and you can find your areas that you want to hit up, and you start hitting up raised edges. And you just pick out little details, little tiny brush strokes. You're not doing any giant swaths of movement. Just tiny little brush strokes on this. Then you're going to run out of paint really quickly. That's normal. Go back into your paint. And you want to leave as much of, not as much of, you want to leave a gap in between your layer, and you want to have a large, not a large, you want to have a strong contrast with that nice dark shadowy color that you put in. If you use black, or in my case where I use the dark blue. It's too much. There we go. With painting, you're going to layer this on. You're not going to do it all at once. It's not going to work out right if you try to do it all at once. If you try and make it just bold, you want to do small layers because you want to leave these little recesses on the model. So if I zoom back in on this and get really tight, maybe if I go closer. Yeah, so you can see on here where you have a huge contrast on this, even around the little rivets. It looks a little extreme in this because this metallic is so shiny, and this camera is actually picking up so much of the shine. So it's making it a little difficult for me to show it off well. When this is all done, I will be taking photographs in my photo booth, which is just a white box with proper lighting, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. We're just trying to get some of these raised surfaces here. And we're not trying to, said this isn't going to happen in one go. Oh, that's too tight. Why is that so tight? Back out. There we go. Get on there. There's some very small detail. I'm going to have to lean in on this. Excuse me. Again, the biggest thing that helps me avoid making these like errors like that is you want to brace. You want to be using a paint handle like the one I'm using, or a different brand. Doesn't matter who makes it, but a paint handle that holds the model that you can hold, and it's kind of chunky. That's good. And you want to brace, because if you brace, you can do minute movements, and it helps so much. Because if you don't brace and you try to paint, you're gonna come in there and you're gonna shake a lot, or you can shake a lot, and it doesn't make for a good time. Does not make for a good time. So I forgot to mention that at the start of doing this detail work. So my pinky is resting strongly on here, and I'm bracing against my pinky, so I can get in there and just do little tiny little dots to try and pick out some of this color or some of these details. Do this side. I don't know what those little dots are on it, but they're raised. And there's one more on this side. There we go. And just this little attention to detail can help a lot, make your models stand out a lot more. All right, now this cowling, I'm actually looking forward to this cowling. We're gonna raise the highlight, go back in and bring up these fan thingies that she's got going on. Now this is going on, I'm purposefully putting this on thin down probably a little bit more than I would normally do, because I want some of this, I want to be able to layer up. Carefully around there. Now right now I'm bracing off the Imperial Aquila. It's actually starting to look kind of neat. In case anyone's wondering, this is the chiptune station. I actually kind of really like the 8-bit genre, 16-bit genre of music. Some good stuff. I have one of these on my Pandora list too. This is on the Twitch free royalty-free stream music selection. All right, I'm gonna leave the inboard side of that dark. Leave the inboard side of this very dark. I want that to stay dark because I'm gonna light up the globes. I'm going to actually paint them a non-metallic blue. And keeping it dark will look like there's like a build-up maybe. Give some good shadows in there. I think that looks cool. I think that looks very cool. All right, on time. We're actually at a half hour. We'll go another 10 minutes. And we'll just put a little color on one of these little balls behind her head. What I'm going to use for that is, I think I'm going to use McCrag Blue. Because, oh wait, no, never mind. Oh, I got to find it. There is a Games Workshop version of this color too. This is Mystic Blue. I can't remember what the GW color is now. Mystic Blue has got this very, like a tealy, almost teal color blue. This has already been thinned down. This might just be pure pigment, actually. Paint that trying to avoid going over the edges on this. Oh, I'm off camera again. And I'm out of focus again. My camera work for me here. All right. You got a little bit into where I didn't want it, so clean our brush off, go in there and try and pick it up with the brush. Brushes are absorbent. Yep, got most of it. See a little mistake, all gone, all better. I don't know if this color is any good anymore. Oh well, I'd have to get a new pot of this paint. A little mystic blue. It's kind of very electric-y. Get that on there now. Oh, see, I got a little bleed over again. There's a bigger brush. Pull all that extra off. Keep an extra brush handy nearby that's wet. Well, has been wet down and then dried. Not bone dry, but not soaking wet. And you can pick up paint that you get onto a model relatively easily. Just like it picks it up off of the palette. Do it again. Might even be able to salvage it. All right. So it's just blue glowy balls right now. They're one color. We're gonna get those to be much, much brighter next time we come back. So today we didn't do a lot. We washed down this with the dark blue. We gave another coat of a half Nuln Oil, half water wash to the whites and the gray to help get more recesses. That'll make a difference later on. We got some silver on the walking stick. We're going to paint that brown next time. We're going to go in and put some highlights on these globes so we can help channel her brain power. We also brought up the eye, the inquisitional eye, and the navigator eyeball. Literal eyeball. Which is, again, not focusing. Whee! Camera fun. There we go. There we go. Now you can see the blue. The blues up here on those. The highlights we did on that. The extra shadows we got on this here. As I put water on the model. It's clean water. And we're going to get some brown on this next time because it has a wooden texture. You can't really see it now. I'm going to hit that with probably a little dry brush to get it lighter and get the raised surfaces that are on that, and then put the wildwood contrast paint, which I have here, which is very good, very, very good. All right, that's where we're going to end today. Ooh, tiny movements. So where we're going to end today. We've got about 45 minutes, and I will see you all Sunday. No, Sunday's Valentine's Day. I will not be seeing you Sunday. It's Valentine's Day. My wife would probably not appreciate that. I'll be seeing you all on Tuesday. Oh, well, we can end that and come over and answer. GW versus Vallejo versus Citadel. Well, Citadel paints are GW paints. It depends on what I have. Like, literally have available. There, if you don't notice it, there's my puppy dog. He's right there. Citadel paints and Games Workshop paints are the same paints. I don't think they've been called Games Workshop paints for... I don't think they ever were. It's whatever works for you. I prefer a lot of the Vallejo paints. They have more pigment in them. They physically have more of the color in them. Vallejo yellows and whites, to me, are much better paint. Games Workshop's, the new whites and yellows that Games Workshop has, they're much better now. They used to be hot garbage. They're much better now. If you can get your hands on Vallejo paints, it's really user's preference. They have a wider variety of colors. The style of paint is different also. Games Workshops has different types of paints in general. So they have bases which are chock full of pigment. They're typically very flat, very good coverage. Almost all the Vallejo paints are base equivalent. They have about the same. So essentially every color that you get in a Vallejo color, ultramarine blue, which you can't see, this is essentially a base paint. You can thin it down and get it to work as a regular paint, a layer paint, but there's also a difference, is that Games Workshop makes, these are not them, these are them, makes paints called layer paints. These are very different. Layer paints go on thinner. They have a very different consistency. When you go to use them, you'll definitely notice how they're much more slimy almost. Their texture is very weird. They move off the brush differently. They go on and they're almost translucent. It's very interesting. They're very good for doing what they say their name is, layering. They're very good for layering colors on. They do not give a good one-coat paint at all. They give a terrible one-coat paint. If you try to paint them over black, they look like garbage. If you try to paint them over white, they look bad. You have to do several colors. The technical paints GW makes are absolutely fantastic. I have not found one I didn't like. Games Workshop technical paints. This is most of my technical paints. This is not all of them. The ones that came with black caps. Blood for the Blood God, which is fantastic. Their Ard Coat. Look, I got a second Blood for the Blood God. Probably because I thought I lost mine. Typhus Corrosion. Nurgle's Rot. All those colors are fantastic. Colors. They're not colors. They're something that you want to get and experiment with to see what they do for you. Because they provide additional things like blood, obviously, a corrosion, a worn metal look. This is a technical, I believe, the Hex Wraith Flame. This color is really cool. Paint this over white or over green, a very, very bright green. This color is really cool. It gives a glow effect with very little work. This color is cool. They also make a blue version of it, Night Haunt Gloom. This is also a very cool color. They're not like traditional washes where they have the same texture as a wash. The big problem with these are you have to shake them forever. If you're going to use these, you need to shake them for about 5 minutes before using, because the paint literally will separate and settle in the bottom of the paint pot, and it will not work properly. I did that, and I was like, why isn't this working? And then I picked it up, turned it over, and on this paint pot, this was completely dark green. And I was like, oh, I had to get a plastic stirring stick out, and I had to stir it up to get it to work again. Like, this one actually is about doing the same thing. This should be clear at the bottom. It's not. So this one needs to be violently shook. All of the Games Workshop washes, fantastic. They make them in almost every color. Get them. They work great. Keep them color coordinated. They'll help you cheat. With other techniques, you can accomplish a lot of things using the washes and just regular layer and a base coat of wash and a layer, and you can accomplish drastically more than you would years ago. With the contrast, if you wanted to try something with the contrast medium, you could take any base color, Games Workshop or Vallejo, and you could take the contrast medium, and if you mix it properly, you will actually make a contrast paint out of any color. It's not easy, but it can be done. This also allows you to do blending easier, the technical contrast medium. If you mix a little bit in, the color will blend with the other color you're trying to use easier. But again, that's a much more advanced technique. I haven't... When's the last time I used that on a model? I think when I did touch-ups on my Zoanthrope. When I did touch-ups on this. So this is done mostly with an airbrush, the yellow and orange. But I had to go in and do touch-ups in order to fix areas that I got wash on or red on. Mixing the technical paint and mixing the two colors together on the model with the contrast medium actually works. So it does have its use outside normal. All right, we're going a little long today. Sean, thank you for coming. Anyone else still in the chat? Thank you for Ground Dog. I hope you're still here. And Sona, you're probably still watching, maybe not. You guys have a great day. I'll see you all on Tuesday. This is Brother